Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to show you how I'm going to clean up the rear quarter panel ready for the rear repair there on the passenger side. Remove the inner fender and break that spot weld edge there, and after that I'm going to show you how I put in the passenger side trunk well, you know, where the spare wheel sets. Common area where they will rust out. This needs both sides doing, so we're going to work on this side today. I'll show you how I get that in, and there's a few little detail welding spots I have to make good before I put that in. So let's go and take a look at the rear quarter panel first, and then we'll do the wheel well. One more thing before we get started. I'm not showing a great deal of welding in this one because it kind of gets a bit repetitive, but I'm just talking about how I'm going to fit the panel. I will show it a little bit in the future, but I think it's getting a little bit repetitive, but just more the approach really. So now I've got to separate the inner fender from the outer fender, and what I'm finding, it's very cramped in here to try and break those spot welds. I don't want to start drilling through this edge because I want to keep that original edge as nice as possible. So what I'm doing is I'm carefully running my grinding wheel around the perimeter on the inside and very carefully relieving this, which is going to leave behind, you know, this is my outer, this is my inner, and then essentially I can control sand this inner one away and leave the outer edge as clear as possible. And it's a kind of unpleasant work. It's not fun, and it's blue. I'm using my electric grinder because I don't want the compressor kicking on and bothering the neighbours too much. But this is a good example. See, this is a very tight area to get into, but I've used my trusty finger sander with coarse paper to just grind on this metal until this metal becomes so thin it can't hang on anymore. Now you can see I can get the spot weld breaker just underneath and just gently ease it, see where the sticking points are still, and like I'm going to sand in this area, and that will weaken it so much it will just fall off. But it's a good way of controlled detachment essentially without faffing up your, you know, the panel you want to keep. You can see how controlled that is. You can see the slightly rusty metal on the other side hasn't even touched that. So now this, look, see, so this can come out like that. It's probably held on with a little bit of that underseal. Because it's so weak, it shouldn't bend the other metal too much, you see. There you go. So there we go. Now we've got a little bit more room to work with now to get this you know, flattened together here, and this is that patch area I last made. Okay, and then clean all this edge up, get rid of any of the seam sealer that is used in this corner, because obviously if you're trying to weld, you don't want any of that stuff around while you're welding because you won't get a good weld. Right, there you go, there's a piece there. It's a good example. Just slowly peeling it back, almost like wood veneer. Isn't that, see? And if you can just sort of use this tab as you go and then just gently sand this, it should clean this edge up nice. Still got a bit of this waste here, and work your way along. So that's but yeah, it's a lot of work, but you want to try and save this as good a shape as possible, don't you? Right, now I chopped that out, didn't need to see that, just roughly cut it out. I've got to trim it up a little bit more. That blue tape is just a guideline. I'm going to get the wheel panel in here. Gives me really good access to get all these welds up nice, spot weld in, you know, correct this little correct this little leading edge here. That's got to be kind of bent this way a little bit. Clean all this area up, zinc primer everything. So that gives me a guide to to attach my fender to as well. So I think then I'm essentially building my way out. Before I can put this panel in, I've got this receiving plate here that receives on the back edge of the wheel well here, and of course we've got a little rust hole here and one here, so I've got to make this little piece, cut that out. I'll save this. I don't think those holes are for anything, but they may even be. Yeah, I'm not sure what that is, but anyway, I've got to make this rolled edge here, so I got a bit of angle iron. I feathered out a rounded edge with the sander, so I get that softer edge rather than a sharp edge. So I just tap that round. I've got my basic extra here, so I can trim that up and then make a patch for that guy. So there you go, that's all that welded on. To clean these welds up, I've found you can't even get the belt sander in these corners or any kind of sander without digging into the two sides. You've got to be able to round those off. So let me show you how I do it, and it seems to work really nicely, and you've got good control. I use a die grinder with a cutting wheel on it, like this guy. Okay, make sure to wear goggles obviously. So this leading edge works as a great scraper essentially, or cutter. Get that good position. See, it's a really controlled way of essentially scraping those, and as you saw, I didn't full throttle it, you know, just feathering the trigger there, and you're able to get right into those corners. And so obviously once this gets epoxied, a very thin skim of fill stuff to fill out any imperfections. And I say I'm trying to avoid using dobs of filler and all that crap. We don't want that. So anyway, that's all solid now. A little bit of a tricky patch, but nice leading edge now for spot welding the back edge of the floor pan. So this is what I call the faffing about stage. So that sets in there nice. It's all really solid. I can bring this to check, make sure that we're at the right level there. We've flattered the back there to our piece we welded in. That hole there, believe it or not, from factory, they had a bunch of seam sealer just doped over that. So all of these joints, all of the joints, every which way, blooming hundreds of them basically, are all going to get seam sealer. The facing joints all zinc primered. And obviously, you know, the seam sealer goes in after all of the epoxy primer, and so this is just playing around with this until I get a nice fit. That's generally pretty good. They were a little shy on this new panel as far as the lip goes. See, this is the factory lip. This is a little shy here, but that'll still pinch weld nicely. Looks all right there, but it kind of tapers up a bit here, but that's fine. That'll go in nice. Here, where I broke the spot weld of the original, that got a little naffed up. All this sealer I've got to dig out because you're not going to weld anything with sealer or any of this bitumen paint stuff in the way. It's just not going to work. So to tidy this edge up, I'll do this off camera, you don't need to see it, but I think I'll cut a piece in here, a fresh piece. I may even come down further. I even come down to here actually, just weld a piece in here, and then I can spot weld straight through, and that'll be good to go. And on the inside here, it's all pretty good. I'll get spot welded. I'm going to check with the other cars, make sure I'm doing it correctly, make sure we got all the layers done correctly. Right, okay, I cut a patch for this guy, brought it way down, so I could have lapped this onto this, but then it would have left me with that ugly hole, so I cut it. So I'm butt welding here so I get a smooth transition, and then the trunk panel gets spot welded onto this, and it does overlap. So now this can tie into our inner wing repair here, and then I put a flange, you can see it underneath there, and I punched the holes for the spot welding, so that flange is onto the original, and so that gives us a nice plenty of meat there, looks tidy, and then we'll put a bunch of spot welds either on here or on the panel. So let me get it welded in and I'll get back to you. Oh, and it's all been zinc primed, hidden surfaces, all the usual. Right, there we go, got that piece in. I was able to pull it round into our inner fender repair here, so I made the joint down here, got a nice clean both sides, this side and the other side, welded up, spot welded on a flange. Now gives us something nice to spot weld to. I'll punch a few holes in here, and probably on this piece at the top as well, so there'll be a row of spots at the top of this and then a row down here on this, zinc primer underneath, obviously for rust control. And then I'll clean the e-coat off of the face edge of this flange, do a bunch of punches. I'm going to go this way instead of this way because they're kind of being stingy with the thing, and I don't want to punch in the wrong holes, and plus my flange punch doesn't go as deep from here to here, so I'm going to have to flange it here, and then I might, you know, I'll just leave that, that's fine, once that's all sealed up. So let's get that cleaned up and spotted in. And for those of you that are doing this job with the quarter steel attached, it's much the same really, isn't it? I mean, you've just got these to deal with, and the arm, that comes down for the bumper holder and all that, that's got to be swap welded onto here. So actually I'll clean this metal up as well, ready for that. Also, if you're doing a lot of holes, get yourself one of these things. Don't buy a cheap one like I did before. It gave up the ghost in no time. So it does a nice job punching through the holes. I'm doing them just over 1 inch apart. See, nice clean holes. Pretty good, eh? And I've done them along here, and then I'll do them on the receiving plate over there, and I will do them along here for our back, and then obviously the fender attaches to this lip here. So right, there we go, better than a drill, isn't it? Anyway, let's get them punched out on that flange we made. Well, there it is, all welded in. Well, it's probably about 8 spot welds along here. And I did more on this side, I punched in more holes, and I added some more holes on this as well. I'm yet to clean them up, I've roughed them out. So we've got a nice seal here, a nice seal here, and then it's anchored here, and then whether you can see it, all the way along, all spot welded, and I've got to clean those welds up. And on the bottom of our patch that we did earlier, you can see we've got good penetration through underneath, so I've got to clean those up. They're a little tricky doing it upside down, but I've just got to clean all them up. And yeah, so there's another section in. Not too bad really, just a lot of kind of faffing around. So that's nice to get that in. Now we can now put our quarter panel on. I've been throwing the ideas around. Now, as you know, you guys, if you've been following the channel for a while, this car originally was 050G white, which is actually quite a pleasant white. But I've been toying with the idea of doing a two-tone colour, main body white and possibly a blue or something on the roof. Now, I've got these samples. This is 050 white. And I just shot this quick sample on a bit of metal here. I didn't even put a gloss on it, just to give me an idea really of the colour. Now this is my 68 280 SE. Now this is more of the cream colour, but it's not far off. This is obviously a little whiter. This is a little bit more buttery yellow. I do like this colour actually, looks really nice once it's all clean and everything. Covered in pollen at the moment, but anyway, so that's the 050 white, which is actually a very nice white. It's not refrigerator white or anything like that, So that's that. Now I'm not sure. This is what's called 903 blue, and I saw a car on YouTube and I thought, man, that's a handsome color, and I was thinking possibly doing a two-tone. Okay, the roof similar to my crunched 108 out there with the coffee and cream, doing the two-tone color. Now I'm not set on that blue yet. There are other blues. There's you know, horizon blue. There's also China blue that's also very attractive. Let me know what you think, whether you like the two-tone idea, because I like it, because the whole white, I think it on the car with this white will tend to make it look like a bit of a wedding car, and I do like two-tone cars, you know, with a contrasting roof and the hubcaps pulling it all together. It has a real classy look. So that's 903 with 050G white. Or do you think I'm crazy and just do it 050 white and be done with it? So let me know what you think. It's not a big deal because it's a long ways away for this stage, but I was down at the paint store and so I got some samples and thought I'd ask you guys. So obviously we've got the fenders in prime, and what I want to do is get this get the engine bay all primed up. So I've got to clean all that firewall up there, get that all ready for primer, take all that stuff off, the old glue and what have you. You can see that little dent there. That I think is from when the engine was pulled out before, possibly catching one of the cold start valves, or the, you know, the intakes there, the big plenums on the top of the 6.3. Also you can see there's a dent there coming back down, so when they were reinstalling it, it looks like they clipped it. So I've got to straighten that edge up, make that nice. Probably I will hold my primer up to that edge there, because obviously down in the well there where the blower motor is, that's all got to be prepped. That's going to be a video and a half, isn't it, with the taking the blower motor out, because that's got to come out, because I do have old records for this and the blower motor is not working, so that has to come out. So that is a mammoth task, but not really anything compared to what I'm already taking up. So that'll have to come out, and then obviously all that inner well there can be painted and all that stuff. So, but I just want to get all this primed up, all this front here, and then it'll, you know, anytime you see things in primer, it gives you a really nice boost, you know, seeing stuff starting to clean up and look nice, even though we're a long way away from actual painting. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Please hit like, share, subscribe, and I will see you in the next ones. Hopefully Marley pistons, my pistons are on the chance to be on the way in the next week or so, so I'll do a kind of a show and tell of those when they get here. Alright, thanks a lot, guys, appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.